serve everybody and not reaching anybody.
That's
So
right.
I had to get clear on who it was I was trying to serve. And between our discussions that we had, I learned that although my programs can be used by any woman going through
Mm-hmm.
any type of life situation,
Mm-hmm.
it is geared to divorced women, because coming out of that pain is a sort of different kind of pain
Yeah.
than normal hurts, or
Right.
what we call
Right.
regular, being betrayed by a spouse, or having to leave a situation that you have um come accustomed to. And I thought that my marriage would be forever, and I never saw it, the way that it ended, I never saw it coming. So it really took me aback to even have to
Mm-hmm.
go through that situation. And one of the things I had to do was say, how did I get here?
Right.
So
Right.
that's how that came about.
Okay. For those that are just joining us, my name is Shrita Cadenhead. I'm the founder of Renew Your First Reset Your Life TV right here on Blab, and I'm talking with Precious S. Brown, the divorceologist. And so she's talking about, when you talk about divorceologist, is not necessarily talking about divorcing from a marriage relationship, but it could be any kind of relationship or any kind of thing that you're in that you don't want to be in, that's not beneficial to you. Whatever aspect of your life you need to separate yourself from. That's what she's
Mm-hmm.
talking about. But we're going to start off talking about our situation with divorce. So of course, everybody gets married forever. Okay,
Right.
they've been bitten by the love bug. This is the person they're going to be with forever. And as we know, because I was looking at the statistics, statistically, the divorce rate is about 50%. Seriously.
Right.
So, at what point? How long were you married? Let me ask you that.
We were together 17 years.
17 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when did you realize that there was trouble?
I kind of always knew, but me being the person that I was, I am going to. I believe in working through problems and not running
Mm-hmm.
away. But at the point of about 8, 9 years, I knew that it was irreversible, and at that point, I had to make a decision on if I was going to stay, I was going to conform, or I was going to leave and I would change.
Mm-hmm.
So I stay and conform.
Mm-hmm.
And conforming consisted of getting hooked on drugs, alcohol, verbal and mental abuse,
Mm-hmm.
both ways,
Mm-hmm.
not just him by any means.
Okay.
Um, at some point, I slipped away and I lost a year in between. I was there, but I wasn't there.
Okay.
So after I came out of that point of that depression, is when I made up my mind I'm leaving. But from that point until the day I left, it took 5 years.
5 years.
So
5 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was more so of me trying to plan a way out or make sure I had everything. But I'm here to tell you, there's no easy way to do it. You just have to accept what it is and move.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna share something with you a little later. But I'm telling you, I was where you were, so I know that personally. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
know that experience very personally, and that you do have to plan an escape route. And my escape route was a winter storm that knocked out my power, and I went to my grandmother's house and I never went back. So
Mm-hmm.
I know, until then I didn't have a plan, but that was opportunity. Okay, for me to do.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I understand that. So and you try to make it work, you try to make it last, and so does that become normal? Does that become normal? I mean, does that become something that you accept up until the point where you say, well, this is not going to work. I got to plan my escape route. Is that normal? Did you see relationships like that to make that normal for you? Was it fear? What was it?
It became my normal. No, it wasn't fear. He had never physically, we argued back and forth, but I had a mouth like a sailor, so that was nothing to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, it became my normal. And then I would think about all my children knew was their mom and their dad. And
Mm-hmm.
one day my youngest son told me, because I told him that we would be leaving soon.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Mom, I don't want to leave Dad. I'm the only kid in my class that has a mom and dad.
Mm.
And that kind of struck a chord with me. So at that point, I said, okay, if it's best for my children, I will try to make it work. But mind you, I was starting to get off drugs. I knew that there had to be a change. He wasn't willing to make that change with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that something had to be done and it wouldn't be long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I drug my feet as long as I could. And then one day, he just snapped.
He snapped.
He tried to kill me. He put a loaded gun to my chest
Oh
and pulled the
no.
trigger.
Oh no.
Yeah. So just so happened that day, my sister was taking my children. We were going to go to the fair, the state fair,
Mm-hmm.
and she came and got the children, and I was there alone.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came in, it just pursued with anger I had never seen before. And it just escalated. And by the time she came back with the children, it was already in full form, fight and everything.
Yeah.
So
okay.
At that point, the children weren't there, but I didn't know my oldest son had stayed because she had sent them over to another person's house, and
Mm-hmm.
he came back. So he saw the ending of it.
Oh, he did.
But that was my push off the ledge.
Right, right. He saw the ending.
It.
He saw the ending of it. Was there anything that he did? I mean, and children are put in a very awkward position. When they see something like that, do I help? Do I not? Will I get hurt? Should I go for help or what? Did he try to intervene in any kind of way? Your son?
No, he didn't. I didn't even know he was there until the police came. I think he more so heard than saw.
Okay.
So I didn't know until the police came that he was outside. And at that point, what really made me 100% say I'm done, because I had to be honest with myself, and I was talking to my sister, and I said, if no one else had been there, I believe I would have stayed. Because that's the mindset I was in. Because I was act like it didn't happen. I was pretending that everything was okay.
Right.
But when the police officer came in, he told me something. He said, at the time my name was Ivy, he said, Mrs. Ivy, he said, do you have somewhere to go? I said, yes. He said, go and don't come back. He said, the last thing I want to do is come back here and have to identify your body. Yes. Please don't come back. Okay. This man all but begged me to leave. And it was then that reality hit. It's over.
It's over.
And I walked out and never returned.
Okay. Well, I see some more guests that have come. I want to thank you for joining us. My name is Sharita Cadenhead with Renew, Refresh, and Set Your Life, where every day presents another opportunity to hit your the reset button on your life. I'm talking with Precious Brown, the Divorcologist. She's talking about a tumultuous marriage that she was involved in. I want you, by each of our pictures here, where you see us on the screen, you'll see some hands like this. If either of us are saying anything that resonates with you, and just take your mouse and just tap, tap, tap on it, giving us props that you understand or that you hear us in some kind of way. Down at the bottom right of your screen, you can make comments if you like. If you will put a / and then type in a question, it will appear up here on the left side of the screen. And so we welcome those questions. A little further on, as we get into the discussion, if anybody wants to pop on, or as they say, call in and take a seat and join our discussion based on what we're talking about, you're welcome to do that. But at this time, I just want to thank you for joining us. Let's just back up a minute. And I went through a lot of that because I forgot to hit the record button in the beginning. I don't think I missed but a couple of minutes. But look, I got it right here, Red. Do not forget to record. I forgot, right? Big Red, I just did it 15 minutes ago, right? So let's back up a minute, because when you talk about the kids, people say that they stay for the sake of the kids, but how much really do you help the kids by staying in a relationship that's so volatile? And so when you have these workshops and seminars, particularly where it deals with divorce, and you talk divorce with women who have children, okay, how do you talk about the kids? I mean, for you personally, was it really beneficial for your kids to be there in a volatile relationship? And what do you tell women that you coach to have children that go through?
Not at all. Not at all. Normally, I advise them that no type of volatile relationship is good or healthy for any child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what it is, verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse, what have you. It's not good for the children. I believe that we make up that excuse in our head as a way to stay. I believe that we don't want to realize or face the fact that we know that this isn't working or
Mm-hmm.
hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that to save face,
Mm-hmm.
just so we won't have to face the reality right then.
Right.
But let me then, when children are involved, you teach them one thing: the behavior to accept.
Mm-hmm.
And by staying, I taught my girls that this was okay.
Oh.
I taught my sons that this is how you treat a
Yeah.
woman. Although out of my mouth for the last 5 years of the marriage,
Right.
I would tell them, this is not what a marriage is supposed to be. This is not how marriage is. But although I said that,
Yeah.
right now today, both of my daughters have children by men that are just like their father.
Oh.
One of my sons behaves in the manners just like his father.
Yeah.
Other one, my other son, he doesn't address conflict at all because he's afraid of going that mile.
Yeah.
So all of them internalized it differently,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a learned behavior, and unless they choose to break that cycle, then they'll continue to go through it. And then, unfortunately, if the cycle isn't broken, my grandchildren will go through it.
Right. Exactly. So your children are your children by your husband? Is
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so particularly when they're young, because you know that, and I was thinking this the other day about, walking the walk and talking the talk. You know what I'm saying? You can tell your children one thing, the old adage, at least when I was a little kid, the grown folks, you say, you don't do what I do, you do what I say do. Okay. Okay,
that doesn't
work. That does not work. Okay, you are the model that I have to go by right now. Okay, you're all I have to go on. And so, yeah, it does send a bad message about what's acceptable and what not. So, as far as your children, especially those involved in relationships, do you have any hope for them that they'll see the light and they'll not accept that as normal?
Yes.
Whatever's deemed I don't know if there's anything called normal, okay, but that is certainly abnormal, okay? That's
abnormal, absolutely. I try to teach the women that I come in contact with, I try to teach them to have that open communication with their children, because I have learned that as they've gotten older, the more I've shared with them, they're able to effectively deal with their feelings. Because sometimes we try to put them, safeguard them, so we don't give them as much. Yeah. But one thing I know is that children know more than what we think they do.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that we have to, based on their age, and your children, you have to openly communicate with them and allow them to express themselves. Because if you don't, they internalize it all, and then it comes out in their actions. And that's what happens to us when we become adults, and then they become adults, and it just keeps going.
Yeah. Well, but you have that, and this is the tough part. You have if I'm not mistaken, you didn't have that. Well, you kind of had that discussion early on with them, but how do you have that discussion and then stay?
Well, actually, the discussion of this isn't what a marriage is,
right?
Because in my head, I'm still planning the escape.
Okay.
By the time, that wasn't always the conversation. That was the conversation after I made the firm decision, I'm leaving. I didn't know how, I didn't know where I would go, because we were in another state and we didn't have any family there. So I didn't have a safe place. I had to create that. So in order for me to create that, I had to plan, because it's not easy just getting up leaving with 4 kids, 4 kids, and income changes drastically, living situation changes drastically, and I just have to make do. But I began telling them that they were like preteens at that point, which, you know, they get their whole little mindset together at 5.
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
so, so by preteens, it's like, okay, mom, okay. But I'm still instilling in them, and we still have conversations that, you know, generates or circulates around, you know, what I've been through. And they call me, okay, well, what should I do in this situation? I can only give you the advice. I can give you the best case scenario, but it's up to you to make that choice. And it's hard because I don't want them to do something I say and then regret it or me.
Yeah.
So and it's hard to sit on the sidelines and see them make the same mistakes, but that's what I have to do. I have to keep them prayed up, and I have to allow them to live their lives just like I lived mine.
Right. Well, as they got older, teenagers still living in the house, did they ever, two things, did they ever initiate the conversation with you about what was going on? And did any of them ever ask you, you know, or tell your mom, let's go?
None of them ever said, "Mom, let's go." I mean, their dad, they love their
Sure,
dad.
sure.
And I don't want to portray him as this monster. We had a really good marriage at first, and laughed and talked, and that's what the kids remember. It was more of those times than the latter.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, well, if we just do something different, Dad will act different. That was their mindset. And I'm steady, because, you know, of course they don't know that we're doing drugs and we're doing all this. All they know is Mom and Dad is changing, and maybe if we act better or if we do something different, then they'll be okay. So they never initiated that conversation with me. And what was the other question?
Did they ever ask you to leave? You've answered that one.
Oh, yeah. No, I always initiated the conversation, and they never asked me to leave.
Okay.
It was always me, but, you know, because of the type of relationship we have been together since we were 19. And because of the relationship, we kind of grew up together. Our kids grew up with us because we were so young when we had them. And because of that relationship, there was a connection that none of us wanted to lose. I mean, even after that happened, when I went back to the house I just got my clothes, the kids' clothes, their beds, and a table so they would have eat. And as we're pulling off, he's standing in the door crying, I'm crying, the kids crying. It was just a mess. So it wasn't, you know, like a down hardcore, we hate each other. It was just time to go our separate ways. And he helped it with that action.
Right. I you know, and talking about kids, and my daughter's 30 something, 1 or 2 or something like that. Something like that. You know, and she was just a baby. I don't know if she was at least 1. I don't think she had reached 2 yet. But you know, we never talked about that. I mean, I guess maybe because she was still a baby. You know, then we divorced, and there was never really any need. I thought, because she didn't never really experience that volatility in our marriage. So I guess I never really. And then of course, her father's not alive anymore, and so, you know, I don't know whatever memory she has of him. I just, you know, don't feel the need to distort it. But again, she was just a baby. She was just a baby. Well, let's see. Does anybody have any questions for Precious? Please feel free to go ahead and type them in if you'd like, or if you'd like to come in and take a seat, you can join the conversation. So well, let me ask you this. What's the relationship like now with you and your ex-husband?
We are cordial. We get along. We talk sometimes. He's remarried. And I have to keep reminding him that he's remarried. But we get along. I think it surprises many people that I would still talk to him. But that's the power of forgiveness. I don't hold anything against him. I don't blame him for, you know, it's like all his fault. No, I share his fault in it as well. I made decisions that weren't the best for us as well. But we get along, and my main concern is his relationship with his children. And I have come to realize that I have to allow them to work that out instead of me trying to work that out for them. So that's my only focal point with him.
Mm-hmm.
If he calls me, we talk. I never call
Mm-hmm.
him. But if he feels the need to reach out for whatever reason, I do talk to him. We will talk on the phone. We've had conversations and would just laugh and talk, and you wouldn't know that we went
Right,
through
right,
that.
right.
But that's where it ends for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When you talk about forgiveness, they say forgiveness is not really for the person that you're forgiving. The forgiveness is really for you. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, and I know going through my own journey, um, the process of change workbooks came about me going through this
Mm-hmm.
journey. And it's from beginning to end. The first volume is a look at me, the second one is love
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and the third one is moving
Mm-hmm.
forward. I had to realize that I had to take a real look at me in order to get through what I was going
Mm-hmm.
through. So once I looked at me, saw what I didn't like, I began to change it.
What did you see? What
Then
did you see?
I saw a very negative person who was hurt from childhood that brought it into
Mm-hmm.
adulthood, that passed it on to her
Mm-hmm.
children and to her spouse. I saw deep, dark sadness and not really knowing who I was. I left my parents' house and went to a husband's
Mm-hmm.
house. I had spent time alone. I mean, being alone in the bathroom, you still not
Right.
really alone with kids because
Right.
the door.
Right. 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 Right.
So I never had that alone
To get to
time.
know you.
So all to get to know who I was and what I liked and what made me tick and what was my triggers and what, I had to ask myself all these questions because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know. What is your favorite food? Why don't you like going to the movies? What do all these questions of, instead of just saying, oh, that's just how I am.
Yeah,
No, it's how you are. There's a reason
I
behind it,
know.
and you need to find out what it
Yeah.
is. So I took the time, even though my children were in the house, I had intentional
Mm-hmm.
time set aside to just be with me,
Yeah.
to just figure out what it was that I
Mm-hmm.
liked, what it was I enjoyed doing by
Mm-hmm.
myself. And once I started to do that, I started to see the change
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to clearly see the negative pressures
Mm-hmm.
and I could clearly see the positive pressures that I wanted to portray. So that was my aha moment.
Yeah,
So to
right.
speak.
So in forgiving your husband, do you when you forgave your husband, because sometimes when you let that go, I mean, you can almost feel the relief. I mean, was that the tipping
Mhm.
point for you, the forgiveness, or you had already forgiven him and it just hadn't really hit you yet? So
um
did the
I
forgiveness
think
really catapult the change?
I think the forgiveness catapulted to change. I believe that I said I forgave him, but I hadn't in my heart
Mm-hmm.
because at night when I lay in my bed alone, I would say, things that if he just hadn't done this,
Mm-hmm.
if he just had that. So I hadn't released it.
Mm-hmm.
I had spoken it, but I hadn't released it.
Mm-hmm.
And going through that process, I learned how to release it. I once I was like, okay, I forgive him totally for everything. I told him, I forgive you for everything that we've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like when I hung up the phone that day,
Mm-hmm.
I just saw my life in a whole different way.
Hold on.
And I just saw a different effect than just saying it.
Right.
So it was definitely after I did this portion that
Mm-hmm.
it allowed me to open up freely because then I could be transparent with anybody and I
Right,
was okay.
right, right. Did your family know what kind of marriage you had?
I think that they knew what we allowed them to see. We were very private. Most arguments, people that on the outside didn't even know that we really went at it the way that we did
A
because
big
we didn't do
secret.
that in front of people.
That was a big
Mm-hmm.
secret.
It was Yeah, it was what goes on in our house stays in our house. We were both
Yeah,
raised that way, and
yeah,
that's the household we had.
yeah.
So once once we got to the point of, you know, it extending outside of the home,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I knew. I'm like, oh, this is getting
Yeah,
way.
right.
So yeah, I think they knew towards the end,
Mm-hmm.
but from the very beginning, no,
Right.
nobody.
Right. I know when we were, as a, and, when when I was younger, we used to call it, don't be talking out the house. Don't be talking out the house. you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what goes on in here stays in here. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't really a relationship to. I don't know where we even got that from, because that wasn't really a relationship to what was going on in our households. But when you start taking after you left your husband, you start taking a look at yourself. Finding out who you were. Were you surprised by anything you discovered about yourself?
Absolutely, almost everything.
Almost everything.
Because I saw me differently.
Yeah.
And it really hit me, and I wrote this in the book. It really hit me. One day, my girlfriend and I, we were at Walmart,
Mm-hmm.
and it was some young girls. It was about 4 of them on the aisle across from us,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking and cursing and just loud mouthed and talking about people. And I looked at her and I said, "Is that how I sound?"
Oh.
She just looked at me
Yeah.
with that kind of smile, and I'm like, "Oh
It's ugly.
no."
It's ugly. Yeah.
Oh, and that was a wake up
Yeah.
call for me, and I really started to be intentional with the things I
Mm-hmm.
said and the things I did, because I never wanted an adult, a elder, one of my elders, to be on the other side of me,
Yeah.
and that's what I
Right.
sound like.
Right. Right.
So I made a conscious decision at
Yeah.
that time that it
It
won't
won't
happen
happen
again.
again. I used to smoke in relation to that kind of experience. I used to smoke, and one day I was just walking down the street. I don't even think I was smoking at the time, but I saw a young lady smoking. I was like, golly, that looks terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That looks terrible. I didn't quit. At that time, I eventually quit, managed to quit, but I just realized how it looked so bad for a woman to be hanging on that cigarette. I'm not down on people who smoke. That's their choice. I'm not bothered by people who smoke around me. That was just an epiphany when you said that. You know, but
Mm-hmm.
so back to the divorceologist and your coaching. What other kind of relationships, or what other kind of things do people bring to the table that need coaching on, that they need to separate themselves from?
The majority of the time it is anger, hatred, bitterness. Just with all of that encompasses
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness, because really that's just a stem of
Mm-hmm.
unforgiveness because of things that have happened in the
Mm-hmm.
past or in the
Mm-hmm.
present, and we just want to let it go. It's
Oh,
so much easier for us to hold on to things and think that we're hurting the other person, and it's not until we're so far into the program and they realize, oh, that's me, that I'm the one causing myself
right.
the pain and being upset. And I try to get them to realize on their own that when you are in control of you, no one can
Right.
upset you. You allow them to
Exactly.
upset you. No one can do anything to you that you do not allow.
That's
And once we get that and understand
mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
fully, then and only then will we be able to control
Right.
our temper, our attitudes, our behaviors. Then and only then, when we realize that we make that decision. We all have
Mm-hmm.
free
Mm-hmm.
will. And just because somebody does something doesn't mean that I have to get mad
That's right.
about it.
That's
That's
right. That's right.
that's that's up to
Well,
you.
not only that, the making that decision that you're going to let it go, and you gain control of your life. I mean, personally, I think that until that moment, that person, whoever that spite is directed toward, as long as you carry that around, really, they have control over you.
Have control.
You
Yes,
know, and so the
absolutely.
question becomes,
Because
how long are you going to let this person have control of your life? I mean, they've moved on, gone on, and to new heights, to other things, and you're just a distant memory. And they enjoy probably the turmoil that you're
yeah,
still carrying yourself through, even though they're not a part of that life anymore.
because they don't even realize that they have that control until one day you're where they are, and then they see your whole demeanor change. You get all uptight in your shoulders, your face and frowned up.
Yeah.
You look for it, and then they're like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
still make her cream."
Yeah.
So then that buttons go to get pushed,
I
and we allow.
we allow it. We allow it. I think that we all these same conversations I have with people I'm interviewing from. I don't know that I've had a guest and I can't share experience with about it. Doubt, insecurity,
Mhm, mhm,
anger, and the
mhm,
gamut really. And even sometimes now, but I think I'm really, really glad that I have the ability to recognize it and know when I need to step back because uh, you don't always know it, but everybody is empowered. Okay, they have the
mhm,
ability to
mhm,
empower themselves, and they just don't see it for a
mhm,
variety of reasons. And we're not talking about people that have mental health issues, of course. I want to make that clear. But
mhm,
another thing that you talked about that I have a shared experience, and I don't know if you're going to be a co-author on the second I Am Woman book. But my
mhm,
chapter in the book, in the first I Am Woman book, was I had determined my worth as zero. And
mm.
that was, sharing my bout with depression. When you get to a point where you feel like you're not worth anything.
Absolutely,
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And,
absolutely.
and you mentioned that you had gone through depression yourself. Now, when you were going through depression, were you on drugs at the time, or were you coming off as like, wow?
I was. I had to add insult to injury. I had just revealed that he had been cheating,
Mm,
and I think that it was just too much to deal with at one time
mm-hmm,
because I had the pull on the inside to stop doing what I was doing,
mm-hmm.
but I needed to do the drugs so that I could cope with what I was going through.
Yeah.
And that it was like putting a band-aid on a third-degree burn
Mm,
and then ripping it off, and it was too much. So I just checked out. I
okay.
checked out mentally. I was there physically. I would still get my children to school, still cook, still play the good
Mm-hmm,
housewife,
mm-hmm,
but mentally I and emotionally I was done. I couldn't. There was nothing else he could have done at that
mm-hmm,
point to hurt,
mm-hmm.
because I just never would have guessed that he would cheat.
Right.
I knew about several other things that he had done, but to cheat, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And at that point, it was like, I'm getting myself together and I'm out of here.
Did you did you think the cheating was worse than what was happening inside the household? Is it?
Um, I don't think that I wouldn't say that it was worse, but not, it was intolerable. I could
Mhm,
tolerate arguing because I grew up a fighter. My mouth has always been has always been a asset for me, positive and
right,
negative.
right,
So that piece, I was good with that. We
right,
can go back and
right,
forth, we
right,
argue about money and the kids and the
right.
house and all
Mhm,
these. But I feel marital vows are sacred,
yeah.
and although I believe in until death do us part, through good and the bad, through rich
Mhm,
and poor,
mhm,
and once you cross the fidelity line,
mhm.
I don't trust you. And if there's no
Yeah.
trust, there's no relationship, because I
Mhm.
have to trust you. If not, I'm gonna be wondering what you're doing, who you're doing it with, where you at,
Right,
calling you while you're at work, and all that nonsense.
right,
So that was just the point of me saying, if you'll do that, you'll do anything.
right,
And
right, right.
from that day on, I
Mhm,
started to save. I started to um, prepare for that
mhm,
move.
mhm,
And although it took 5 additional years,
mhm.
um, when I left, I still didn't have enough money. I still didn't
Yeah.
have. So, and I say that because those that may watch, I don't want them to think that it takes 5 years to get out of a bad
Right,
relationship.
right,
No,
right,
it doesn't.
right,
No, it doesn't. It
right.
takes a decision to
Yes,
get
a
out of a bad
decision.
relationship.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
you do whatever you have to do to
Right.
make it work.
And you will make
Whether
it
it's
work.
go to a shelter or anything else, you'll
Mm-hmm.
do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't
Mm-hmm.
ever want anybody to think that it takes 5 years
Oh
or I
no.
gotta
Oh
wait
no.
another.
Oh no.
No, you don't. You
Yeah.
leave, make that move. Had
Yeah.
I left before, I
Mm-hmm.
believe my children would have been spared
For
some
sure.
extra pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I also believe that I would not have had the revelations
Mm-hmm.
that I had
Mm-hmm.
along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a blessing and a curse at the
Really?
same time. But I just
Yeah.
believe that all things work together for the good.
Yeah. I will say, I happened to mention to somebody, probably within the last year. I knew that I was going to leave my husband the day I married him.
Mm.
I knew I was going to leave
And
him.
see, I married mine to prove everybody else wrong.
Yeah, no.
And that was something else I had to come to
Yeah.
realization
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And I had to be true and honest with myself. I'm telling you that look at me. It does something to you because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you have to look past what you see.
Right. Right.
It's
Right.
about what you see on the outside. It's
Mm-hmm.
who are you in your heart.
Right.
I married my ex-husband, my first ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been married twice.
Mm-hmm.
I married the first ex-husband solely because I wanted to prove everybody else wrong.
Really?
I wanted to prove that our marriage could work, that we would be together forever, that he loved me more than anybody else. All that nonsense.
Uh-huh. Well,
So
I
it
was
took me 7 years to come out of that nonsense, the wilderness.
well, I was gonna say, you had to prove them wrong. My question was, well, what they think about them. Then I thought, what did your mama say? Okay, because your mama saw it first.
Well, and that's the beauty about my mom. She is one. She don't put her mouth on
Okay.
anything. She always says, and always has said, whatever you want to do, I support you.
Okay.
And see, he is wrong as two left shoes, and she's still not gonna say whatever you decide. I support you. When I called her and told her, when I told her the 5 years prior to leaving, I said, "Mama, I'm gonna leave you," and I want you to know, she was like,
okay. So what was everybody else saying that you were trying to prove wrong? What were you trying to? What were they saying that made them think that this wasn't going to work?
Because they knew him. We when we started dating, we were both in the streets. He was selling drugs, I was partying, and it wasn't right. And my oldest sister would tell me all the time, he's cheating. He's cheating. I need you to listen. Yeah. He's cheating. And I just thought, I'm like, no, you're not telling the truth. She told me that for years, and I never believed it. Other people, my dad, I was blessed to have two dads, and both of them that he wasn't no good, and they had no problem telling me. But I think it was more so those two that I were trying to prove. My dads. And I consider them everybody because their image of me, who they think I should be or thought I should be, or I always wanted to live up to their expectation. And because from the beginning that's not going to work, that's not the best thing for you, then I said, okay, I'll show you.
Yeah.
That's precious. Now I'm that's me all the way, good and bad. That's precious. I'm gonna show you wrong. And I just took myself and my children through absolute hell because of that choice to prove them wrong.
So when your children start dating, particularly your girls, I mean, was there ever that guy you went, no, I can feel already.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So did you take the route your mom would take and say, whatever you want to do, or did you say, hey?
Of course not.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the mouth.
Of course.
Yeah.
I said, because I was told that he was hitting her. And I went to her and I asked, and of course she told me no.
Yeah.
But because I was in an physically abusive relationship at the age of 15, for about 4 years. And that's how I ended up with their dad, is because I vowed I'll never be with another man that hit me, not realizing there was emotional and verbal abuse. So when I asked her, she said, "No, Mom, that's not happening. That's not on." But I would still hear it on a regular, and I'm like, okay. So every time I asked her, she said no. And then one day I told her, because I told her, I said, if he's putting his hands on you, he's going to kill you if you allow him. Now, by now they have two children. At that time, they had 2 children, and she called me one night and she's bawling and crying, and she's like, he bust my head down to the white meat. And I said, I had to get her calm because I'm in another state. So I had to get her calm. And I'm like, okay, have you called the police? You know, I'm trying to walk her through it. On the inside, I could have walked to where she was and put my hands on him. But I had to keep it together for her. And after that, I said, while we were waiting on the ambulance, I said, so now do you believe me? Because when she called, she said, Mama, I've been lying. He have been hitting me. You know, she just kind of let it all out. And I said, now do you believe that he doesn't care about you? Because that would be my thing. I'm like, anytime a man put his hands on you, he doesn't love you. You're allowing him to do whatever he wants to. So at that point she was, Mom, you were right. And, you know, he's been hitting on me in this. And so I say, well, are you ready to move on? And she said, yes, I'm done. And that day, that weekend, I came, found her place. We got her situated, and she never looked back. But I hate that they have to go through that. But at that point, that was a turning point for all of our relationships, me and the children, because I wanted them to know that no matter what they thought I would say, I would always support them.
Right.
You never have to wait until it's too late to call me. Call me whenever you need me, whatever time, whatever is going on. And although you may have to hear me fuss, but I'm going to support you, and we're going to do what we need to do for you to be okay.
That's right. Well, you know, you just add another dimension to this conversation, you know, because I know you got married at 19, okay? And so you said, you know, you never had this life. But, you know, what's coming to light now is that, you know, you were in an abusive relationship at 14 to 15 years old. Was it the same person?
No.
It wasn't the same, because you said you married your husband because you vowed you wouldn't do that again. So, did anybody ever know about that? I mean, you know what goes through a 14 or 15-year-old's mind when they're being abused in a relationship? What goes through? Because I don't know.
It was more. Now that was fear. That was pure fear, and it was a double-sided fear, because when he first came over to our house, I was only allowed to have guy company outside on the front porch of my daddy home. That was the rule.
Right on, Dad.
Right, we were outside, we were on the front porch, and when my dad looked at him, he looked at me and he gave me that look. And after he left, I knew, you know how the back of the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. So when he left, he said, I don't want you to see that boy anymore. And I'm saying in my head, yeah, okay. And I told him, okay, I won't. So at that point, I wasn't supposed to be seeing him. So another year into it, because I'm still sneaking, now he's starting to hit me. Regularly. Like all the time, anytime he felt like it. And he knew, because I told him, because that's what we do. I told him that my parents didn't want me to see him. So he knew that I wouldn't be able to tell them. So I kept that secret for 2.5 more years.
Really?
I mean, he would follow me to school. I was 15, he was 19.
Okay.
And he would follow me to school, and I was any sport that was going on, my siblings and I were a part of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I had cheerleading practice or volleyball or whatever I had.
Mm-hmm.
He would come up to the school. He would stalk me while I was in school. He would, hide in bushes, just craziness.
Mm.
And for those that are listening, anytime somebody tell you that they are going to kill themselves if you leave them, they're crazy.
Leave them. Yeah, leave them. Yeah, it's not gonna be your fault, okay? Yeah, you didn't make them crazy. They were there already.
Yes,
already.
Because that was the initial issue. When I tried to break up with him, when my dad told me he was gonna kill himself. So I didn't want him to kill himself. Oh my goodness, what kind of person would I be? Not knowing, what was to come. So I kept that for 2 years, and then he tried to kidnap me at gunpoint. And yeah, it's just it. That's why I thank God every day for putting me in the position that I'm in because of the things that I've been through.
Yeah.
So he tried to kidnap me at gunpoint. My dad running down the street shooting at him, and it was just a big old okay growl.
I know. Wyatt Earp and everybody was there.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I had to come clean, just like my daughter that day. And that's what it reminded me of when she called me, like, Mom, I've been lying. I've been lying. Is because I had to do the very same thing to my parents. I've been lying. I've been seeing this boy all the time.
Yeah.
And my mom then filed a police report. And then my mother, which is not a side of her I've ever seen but twice in my life. And it was the highest level of festivity, if that's a word. Because she went over to his people's house and told them, matter of factly, if I catch him around my child again, I am going to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 5-6 months after that, he killed a classmate and ended up going to prison.
He killed oh my God. A girl? Somebody he was dating?
A boy. Yeah. So I mean,
those are the signs. Those are the signs. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because I heard this come up once, but when you're talking about your husband and why you stayed, I never heard love.
Oh, I did love him.
Okay.
And a piece of me still does.
Okay.
Not in love with him.
Yeah.
But I love him. I care about what happens to him. I pray for him. I pray for his wife because I know how crazy he is.
Right.
I love him that he gave me my children, and I just love him as a person. I just understand that he wasn't my husband.
Yeah, right.
And I would tell him that, like, you'll be a good husband to somebody, just not me. And that's okay. And when I think when you're able to do that, when you're still able to love somebody after they've tried to kill you, I mean that's the unconditional love. That's that agape love from the Lord.
Right.
I do. I love him, and then he'll hear me say that and be like, "I knew you were still. I'm not you crazy."
It's like, what? Well, when you were a child and going through this, did your siblings know? And even with your daughter, do the siblings know?
Nobody knew. Now that was the best kept secret. Outside of my drug use, that was the best kept secret, because when I came out about being on drugs, everybody was like, "What?" But then they were able to say, "Oh, that's why you were acting this way, or that's why you said this, or that." Hindsight is 20/20. But when I was a kid, nobody knew. One of my girlfriends knew, and she would always tell me, because they called me Pooh. She'd be like, "Pooh, you gotta leave him alone. You can't let him keep hitting on you." Because we were at her house one day and he came and jumped on me.
Oh, and that's how she knew.
That's how she knew. Because before that, she thought he was the best thing. I was on punishment one time, and he gave her an envelope of money to bring to me, and she just thought he was the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, right.
At that age, where are you getting money from to be sending to me?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And we don't look at things like that as children. We're trying to play grown-up games, and we have no idea.
We have no idea. No. I have no idea. Do you have friends that have gone through that?
Through the abuse piece.
Through the abuse,
Not physically. I do have two friends that go through the verbal and the emotional abuse, and I try as much as I can without getting in their business, their relationship, to give them the advice of the signs, and so that they clearly understand what it is that they're going through and why they go through it. And let them know if you don't set some boundaries, you're given permission.
Right.
You don't set a boundary and a consequence for crossing that boundary. And if you set it and you don't follow through, then you're still given permission.
You're still given permission.
You set up the premise for how someone treats you.
Yeah.
I am at the point in my life, you cannot disrespect me. I don't put up with lying.
Yeah.
It's just certain things that I'm not going to deal with. I will love you from afar.
Right. Well, I will say this, and this is how Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life started. I had a real estate company and I let it go, and I had tried a number of things as far as business wise that just didn't pan out, and so for a year I didn't do anything, and I had to ask myself, and everybody listening here, I don't know what kind of situation you're in, but is there a pause for you to ask yourself, is this where I thought I would be? Yeah,
absolutely.
Is this where I thought I would be at this stage? Okay. Not only is this where I thought I would be, is this where I want to be? It is not. How do I get there? That's just, and ever since that day back in December 2013, I have to always ask that question. And I'm glad that I do, not necessarily question myself, but more so to make sure, number one, that I don't ever experience depression again.
Right.
I never want to experience that kind of sadness because of a lack of achievement or whatever else. Okay, so I have to combat those kind of things. So I'm always asking myself, is this where I want to be? What do I want to do? I think it's a very important question, no matter, whether you're talking about relationships or whatever. If there's something in your life that you feel like is lacking, you need to try to find out what that is.
Absolutely.
You need to try to find, because everybody, a well-rounded life to me involves a lot of different aspects of the person. It's not that your husband is not your life, okay? Your kids are not your whole life, okay? Absolutely. And so, in a lot of cases when like that, the kids and the husband become your crutch, not to do the things you either want to do or are afraid to do, Absolutely. And so, I know that, for me, that whole year that I said to do nothing, I did convince myself, you tried all that, it didn't work. Yeah, just go to work, just come home, and I made myself content with that. I was like, oh, heck no. Not today. Okay, this is something.
It wasn't until after the children and I were in our own space did I realize that I used them as a crutch. And it took my oldest son to say, Mom, you smother us. And I'm like, I smother you? And he like, you don't let us do, because I was terrified that something would happen to them. Right. Somebody would touch them, somebody would mistreat them, somebody, something bad, because the world is so bad. Something would happen to them. So I always kept them under my thumb. You can't go anywhere. If your friends want to stay the night, they can come here and stay the night. You can't go over there. You can't do this. You can't. Their life was full of can't. Right. It wasn't until that day that he was like, Mom, you have got to stop. You are smothering us.
Really?
And the other ones was looking at him like, oh, you finna get it.
What? You're not smothering us, Mom. Oh, we go with you.
Right. like, he said that, we didn't. So, and it wasn't until I just looked at him and I'm like, what do you mean I smother you? Because I didn't realize I was doing it. I was making them my life.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go and do anything because I wanted to make sure that they were doing what I said do. And it was just, it became too much for him. And he's like, I can't take it anymore. Just stop. And I was like, okay. Like, you didn't have to get upset about it. You could tell me nicely. So,
you try to turn tables on, do you?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that day, I took it upon myself to reflect on the relationship that I wanted with my children instead of the relationship I was forcing them to have.
Yeah.
So I began to be intentional and allow them to spread their wings. And you know how they say, you give them an inch, they'll take them out. Until you take them out, we're good. When I give you that inch, I kept giving them inches, and they never took them out because they were so appreciative of me just backing off.
No, they got out of jail. That was a good out of jail free card. Okay.
Yes. And that's
they had done their time.
I didn't know my youngest daughter used to call me the warden. I'm like, what? They were like, yeah, we used to be up in the basement laughing at you all the time. I guess she'd be like, hear me stomping. They were like, here come the warden.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny. That is so funny. Well, so you let them go and you let them spread their wings. What did you do for you at that moment?
In that moment, I began to find out who Precious was. That's when the process of change
when it started.
I began to start spending time with me, reading books that I wanted, because I set everything on a shelf. Everything. I got married, it was about my husband, my kids, my marriage. That's it. I started to find out what I liked. I started doing things that I wanted to do. And if I didn't want to do it, I started practicing how to say no. I got in the mirror, practice how to say no, because I was a yes person. Anything to make somebody else happy, I would do it. It didn't matter if I wanted to or not. And then I got to the point, the kids didn't like that part. They wanted to be free. But they didn't like when I said no. They're like, no, what's that?
What you mean?
Would you come? I don't feel like it. I'm not doing nothing but laying on this bed. I don't feel like it. I'm not doing nothing but sitting on this porch. And when I started that, everything just started to shift. It was like, oh, okay, I do have a voice. I do have a mind to make my own decisions and be okay with it. And I'll never forget when the first time I told my dad no. And he just was not understanding. Wait a minute.
I spell that.
Right. My oldest brother had come into town from where he lives, and my dad wanted everybody to come over so we could play cards and fish and all this. Well, this particular day, I just didn't feel like it. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And so my little sister called and she's like, Dad wants you to come over so we can, and she give me the whole spiel again. And I'm like, I said, no, I'm not coming over. I don't think he talked to me for about 2 months. He was like, he said, what? I said, tell him I said no. I'm not coming over. Yeah, he was mad. Or no.
He didn't just stop and roll on the floor, huh? He just started talking.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, she couldn't believe it. She was like, are you for real? I'm like, I'm dead serious. She said, well, what are you doing? I said, laying in my bed. Well, you don't want to I'm not moving. Yeah. I don't want to do it. And that felt good because that was my last piece. That when I was able to tell my dads how I felt and feel bad about it, I knew I was free.
You was free. Well, that was it. That was it. Ring the freedom bell. Yes.
Yes, I was free. Free at last.
You're free? Thank you so much.
Free at last.
Yeah.
So and since that time, I refuse. When I see bondage coming, I go the other way. I'm not getting bound by anything, anybody, situation.
I understand that. I definitely understand that. Well, our time is up. We don't necessarily have to stop here, but I have certainly certainly enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
I hope that you'll be coming here at some point, or I'll catch you somewhere. I know when you get ready doing your Kenny gets ready to do the book launch. I hope you're going to be coming here for that.
Mhm.
You know that's
I
what the
will be there. I
Oh
will be
yeah,
there.
yeah. You know she does a grand style. She does everything on a grand scale. So
Yes,
I'm
yes.
really yes,
I've
she
been
does.
watching her. That's what brought me to the decision to get in the book this time,
Yeah,
is because I've been watching her for a while.
you
And
people say that.
I not only have I seen her growth, but
Hmm.
I believe in what she's doing.
Oh yeah.
So I have been watching her in the background, and I stalk her on Scope.
Oh yeah.
So and when I met her at Epic, I told
Okay.
her that. She was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." I
Yeah.
said, "I want to know about this book because I have been stalking you." And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
"What?"
Hmm.
I said, "Not in
Yeah.
a bad way. I've just been watching. I've watched her journey
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
over about the last 18 months. I've watched
Mm-hmm.
her journey,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Hmm.
has been amazing. And
Yeah.
and she is I see the world that she comes from, and I know it very well. And I think that's the connection. She speaks my
Mm-hmm.
language.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. She's been there. Knows that.
so I
Yeah.
was like, that now that's a book that I wouldn't mind
Yeah,
reading.
yeah. That's what people. My grandma used to say. I ain't telling you what nobody told you.
Oh,
Okay,
right, right, right.
I'm telling you what I
It's
know.
what
Okay, I'm
I
telling you what
know.
I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think I met you, Kenny, probably just a little over 2 years ago at an authors expo at the library. She had just, I think her book had just came out, The Strength of a Woman. If you haven't read it, you ought to read that book, The Strength of a Woman.
Mhm.
It's a great book. And so I started kind of following her just shortly before you did, and I've seen that growth. I mean, it's been really been exponential. Okay, it's
It
really
has.
been yeah. She's a motivator. Yeah, if you don't have no energy, you can't follow your kid.
I know that's the truth.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the opportunity to do that. I was inspired to start a book. I know Ukini is looking for 20 authors, and I was inspired to start a book project of my own. I didn't want to do the I Am Woman too, but I've started a book project. It's called One Word.
Mm,
The 20 authors in the book need to select their chapter will be the name of their chapter would be one word, and this one word is a word that has a tremendous significance in their life. It has
mhm,
impacted them in some way. And for some people it's a driving force.
mhm,
It's something that they hang on to and cling on to. My word just happens to be hope.
mm.
Okay, my word just happens to be hope. So I've had a lot of people express a tremendous amount of interest in the book. For those who don't make it to Yakinia's book, and somebody that is looking for a project,
Mhm.
because I know Yakinia will have her 20 just like that. She'll have her 20 just like that. But I'm looking forward to doing that. And so some of the people that
Yeah.
have expressed interest, has anybody taken this word? Has anybody taken that word? I want this word, And so I'm like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to read this book because you'll never know what drives people. And one of the things my pastor said in church this morning, you don't have any idea what the person next to you has been through to get here.
Absolutely.
You have no idea.
Absolutely. And I none at all. And see, I am doing
Hmm.
Yakinia's book. I'm working with
Hmm. Hmm.
Woods.
Oh yeah.
I I am one of her
Hmm.
media brand ambassadors, but she's also doing a shift
Hmm.
3. And I am working on my own
Hmm.
anthology. I'll have
Okay.
17 women, and it is the premise of our book is transition, creating the life you desire. So it's stories, is backdrop to our
Hmm.
story, but shifts into what or how we transition from traditional corporate
Hmm.
America unto
Entrepreneur.
entrepreneurship. So that
Yeah.
yeah. So because I believe that many people sit on the fence of corporate versus entrepreneurship, and because they don't
Hmm.
know and they're afraid to
Hmm.
find out. I want to give them a piece of work that allows them to see that 17
Ordinary
ordinary
women.
women can
What
do
yeah,
this,
can do.
so you can too. And I think it'll be the push
I hope
for a
so.
lot
I
of
hope
people.
so because it's yeah, a friend of mine always say, she's not talking about entrepreneurship, but I related to that. She says, especially with that entrepreneur bug you get, what I'm saying? She said, I can't kill it and it won't die. Okay. And so, and my process is a little slow going, because my platform is dealing with comfort zones. Okay. I'm the exit strategist. I help people to exit out of their comfort zones and into the purpose, passion, desires, and goal. Well, it's kind of tough because I got to get you out of there first to talk to me. Okay. So mine is really a tough nut to crack, but if I can get you there, you're gonna be glad that you did. Okay. I step out, you can call it stepping out on faith, and trust me, I believe in faith. But I think probably the more risk it is for me, I've probably taken more chances on those kind of things than the things that scare me less. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I just have to do it and plan it as I go. Other times I do it with a plan. And so I think that people really, and I said something. Well, I've got a book coming out. It's called Crushing Comfort Zones, Doubts, and Insecurities. One quote, one insight, and one affirmation at a time. And one of the things that I say in there is that, your life is the only thing that you can write your script for and know the end before you even get there, because you can write it. You can write your own script. Okay, you can know the end before you ever even get there. Okay, because you decided and because you plan it. Okay, and so that the word hope for me, I know what it's like to be on the borderline of not having any
thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's always anybody who's sitting on the fence, there's always hope that you can do exactly what you want to do, but you can't do it when you don't get your butt off the fence. Okay. I gotta go.
The only life, if you don't have the life that you want, you have to create it. And that drives every day. I remember going to a seminar with my boss, and I had already started my company, and I had Powering You, and I had already written the books, and I knew that I was going to leave, but I hadn't had the extra strategy set
right
and so I walked into that meeting, to that seminar, and I sat down and I couldn't focus on what the man was talking about because I'm worried about my own stuff. Yeah. And I couldn't pay attention to it. And I just looked at her and I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And she said, huh? I said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do it. My mind's not in it. I said, I'm done. And I just need you to be on notice that I'm leaving. And, I can't do it. And she was like, okay. So I leave December 30th, 2016 is my last day. And because I just can't, I can't. I feel like like I said, I'm not free. I'm in bondage again.
Right.
And I refuse to be in bondage in any area of my life.
I understand that. And anybody who feels like they're in bondage in any corner, your hands got to be tied around, behind your back. Anytime you're in a situation and you feel like you just have to be in it, even though you don't want to be, that's not true that you have to be in it. It just isn't true. It's only true if you accept it as being true. Okay. And nobody should ever accept that. Even if you find yourself trying to work your way out and don't get out, at least what you're doing to try to get there will bring you some sort of satisfaction. I know in my own case, because I still work, and I have a 3.5-year plan, and so 3.5 years ago by just like that. But everything that I'm doing, trying to get where I'm going, it's slow going, but I'm so enjoying the process. I'm so enjoying the process.
Yeah. And I enjoyed the process too. I know that it's time, because for so long I've put it off. And God has given me chance after chance after chance And now this last time when I got serious about it, I'm like, okay, Lord, well, if you open the
Open it
doors
up.
that, and you tell me who, you put the people in my path, and doggone he having just that. He has put the people in my path. He has opened doors that would not open for me before. He has done above and beyond anything I could have imagined or thought.
That's right.
And it's like, okay, and then I start to get into that fear again. And it's like, oh, no.
Yeah, you have to say no. You have to say no. And it's amazing because, last week I really put it out there about this book, and I was so overwhelmed. I just wanted to cry because people say, count me in. I want to know more, And last night I was like, oh, Lord. Was it? Oh, Lord.
I know.
Yeah,
because
I got to the point I was like, no, we're not even going on. We're not even going there. All these people said, oh my God, that's such a great idea. We're not even gonna go there. So you have to fight. You have to fight for your sanity.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. When I put the anthology together, I think a few people thought I was kidding. And then because I also have a publishing company.
Oh, okay.
I publish.
Right.
So this particular piece I want to publish. I just didn't want to do all the extra, like the editing and all of that.
Yeah.
So I had gotten 2 different editors sets and 2 different, everything going.
Yeah.
And I got the people that everybody I asked because I didn't put out a call for it because I didn't just want anybody.
Right.
I want specific people. So I said, Lord, show me the people that you would have. And boy, he showed me.
know.
So they said yes. Lo and behold, the editor backed out. And I'm like, okay, what is this? What's going on?
Distraction.
So, and after that, the other publisher said, they're not going to be able to do it. And I'm like, okay, Lord, what are you trying to show me? So then just so happened, I'm in Coach Speak and Serve, and I put out a question, help, I need to know. I was asking about another product of mine, which is the outside packaging for the books to go in. I want them in a uniform box for the company. So he said yes, that he makes them. So we spoke, and he's ended up agreeing to do my book cover and the typeset editing for me. So I'm like, okay. And then I know another lady that helped me with my first book. She does editing. So I spoke to her today, and she said yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm like, okay, well then if those pieces are taken care of, I'll go ahead and do the publishing.
Yeah.
See how he worked that out?
He worked it out.
You take this project from birth to full grown done.
Yeah.
And I have contacted everybody I need to. I know everything I need to do on the marketing piece, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm just so excited.
It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. I feel it. I feel it.
I just believe it's gonna break some chains for some people.
It is,
and be enough buzz. They're gonna be like, "Who are these ladies?"
Yeah. That's a really wonderful thing about what we do, because really the driving force behind it all is, who's going to benefit from this? Who can we help? Okay? Who's going to benefit from what we do? It doesn't get better than that. It just doesn't get better than that.
None at all.
And then when God, he has his own drip campaign. He gives it to you a little bit at a time. He got his own drip campaign, And so I saw a quote the other day. I don't know where it got. Maybe something I was reading or somewhere. It says, when God tells you to do something, who are you to say no? Who are you to say no? He's always giving you something. We got that fear coming in, but when you think about where it came from in the first place, because sometimes you get flooded with all these great ideas. I'm not really all that brainy. You know what I'm saying? To come up with all this stuff. So I look at it, over the years, God has given me so much stuff, so many great ideas. The blockage is you try to do them all at once. He never said you got here, you take this boatload and you get all this done. But you got to get it done a little bit at a time. Otherwise, you don't get anything done. Otherwise, you don't get anything done. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Absolutely. So that's what I was saying. And I'm excited about it. I know 2017 is going to be even more amazing than
Oh, yeah.
2016. And I never thought that my 2016 would be this amazing. I mean, it has, from start to current, it has just
Yeah,
been
yeah.
a whirlwind of
Mm-hmm.
awesomeness.
Yeah, and that's because you keep going
I
forward.
expect much more. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you keep
it's
going, you keep
definitely.
going forward.
And even on setbacks, sometimes, and anybody that's watching know that sometimes you have those down moments,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all
Mm-hmm.
about how long you're going to be in
Yeah,
the pity party, and
that's what it's
and
about.
and are you going to
Yeah,
get up?
those are yield signs, not stop signs. They're yield signs and not stop signs. I think Precious is frozen. I'm not sure what's going on here. It's like Batman. You know how they used to do in cartoons. You just freeze right in the middle of something. So, Precious, I don't
That's what
know
it's
if you
about.
can still hear me. Let's see if she's going to pop back in. We'll see if she comes back in. At any rate, we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes anyway. I want to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Shrita Cadenhead. I am the founder of Renew, Refresh, Reset Your Life, where every day presents another opportunity to hit the reset button on your life. That's not just something I say, that's something I really believe. I am your exit strategist, helping you to exit out of your comfort zones and into your purpose, passion, desires, and goals, because we all have them. You're only stuck in a comfort zone if you're not doing something that you know you really want to do. If you want to reach out to me, you can contact me through my website, renewrefreshreset.com. You can reach me at renewrefreshreset@gmail.com. I've got a book coming out. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to do some free downloads initially. So if you want to get a copy of the book, it's called Crushing Comfort Zones, Doubts, and Insecurities. One quote, one insight, and one affirmation at a time. You can send me an email at renewrefreshreset@gmail.com, and I'll add you to that list. And just mention that you were on this broadcast today with Precious. And when the book becomes, when I'm finally done with the book, I will see that you get a copy of it, absolutely no charge. Precious, you want to tell people any last word for the people that are watching, and tell them how they can find you?
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on today. You can find me at www.powercoachprecious.info, www.powercoachprecious.info. I am also on all social media platforms as at the Divorcologist. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. And my personal Facebook page is Precious S. Brown.
Precious S. Brown.
Thank you so much.
Right. And soon you'll be able to find her under that handle on Blab.
Yes, that's true. It's
coming. It's coming.
And I'm starting a television show on YouTube. It's going to be called Power
TV. All right. I'll be looking forward to it. I'm telling you, us women, honey, we got it going on. We are a force to be reckoned with. Yes. It's about time. It's absolutely about time. I'm going to follow you so I don't miss you when you start doing your Blab broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if we have any gentlemen on the broadcast, I want to thank you for joining us. We're going to be signing off now. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you, Precious, so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you. All right.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Okay. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.